this up.
Pro shop.
Right. Anybody doing here? Tell them which side if you're looking for this.
Discount?
That does show up in a commercial.
Huh?
That does show up in a commercial.
Does it?
Concerned anymore about Krejci at this point?
No, he's skated today. I talked to him. He's progressing well. I would like to obviously see him get back into the live action with us. He hadn't played a lot preseason, so these battle drills are important now, I think. But it is what it is, so we don't want to risk further injury. So that's where he's at. But like I said, it would be good if he got in tomorrow or at the latest Wednesday.
If for some reason he's not able to go on Thursday, would you bump Coyle up to that spot?
Well,
Or?
we've considered moving Charlie up there. Lindholm practiced there today. Want to see how that looked. I think, Parr's got more skill than what his resume dictates in the National Hockey League. He had good numbers in Sweden, so we've seen a little bit of that. So we'd go probably either way. We'd make that decision, I guess, on Thursday. But Lindholm did play well with Backus in preseason. They seem to have some chemistry. So moving Charlie up might be the way we go to get a look higher in line for him too. But I wouldn't bother to put Parr in there too. He's a good, responsible defensive player as well, so I wouldn't worry about matchups on that.
How much tougher do you see the Atlantic Division being this season than last?
Well, I assume Tampa will be equally as good as last year. They might not get the same point total, but they've got a lot of return. They lost a couple guys, but I still expect them to do good. Toronto, some turnover, but again, their core, a year older. Montreal made good strides. Florida, I assume, will be better simply because they've added a great coach. Goaltending will be a little more solidified. So right away, there's 5 teams to be that are going to be hard to play against. Obviously, Ottawa, Detroit, Buffalo, a little younger and have some strides to make, but they could. There's always a surprise team. So I would expect a little bit more difficult than last year. But I don't think it was that easy last year. This wasn't like Montreal actually had. I think they did not have more points than Colorado too, or one of the teams out west or two who didn't get in. So it was tough last year.
What do you like about Backus on that line, and given everything he's gone through, what's a good year for him?
Well, I don't want to speculate for a good year. I mean, if he can consistently stay in the lineup, I think there'll be times he will be rested, or we're going to tinker with the lineup, back-to-backs, etc. So, but if he can stay healthy and give us consistent production, what that is, Kevin, I don't know. It kind of depends. Is his center healthy? Is the left winger? If let's say he plays with Heinen and Coyle, Krejci's back. It's a similar line to what he had some success with 2 years ago, right? Heinen, Nash, and Coyle and Nash are, I don't know if you want to call them comparables, but you can look at them as comparables. So if he could replicate that, I think it would be a good year for that line, for those kind of numbers, whatever they have to do that year.
Backus said he worked a lot on his skating this summer. Do you notice?
He looks quicker. He's driving around some D today. I think most guys are good this time of year. They feel good. They've had a summer to rest up. They haven't been drilled yet, so to speak, or into the battle. So they're usually going to look a little better. But I think he has looked good. And hopefully, like I said, that's the big challenge for him. Can he sustain that level of pace throughout the year? Still getting some rest in there, but in general, so hopefully he can. So far, so good.
Is there an element of your team's game that can improve speed-wise, Bruce, that you've been wanting to, from an tactical perspective?
Well, I like our neutral zone. I'm not going to. I think we do a good job through there. Sometimes we mismanage pucks, but that has nothing to do with speed. That's just decision making. Our breakouts can be cleaner. We've talked about to play faster, the high flips and the indirects, building that into our game. Gets away from puck possession, so that's a constant discussion internally. But that could certainly free up some speed in your attack, especially when you have DeBrusk and Martian pass that can track down pucks. But we've seen other teams play that way, and like Toronto plays that way and had some level of success, but it takes away, what if you don't execute, now you get winners out of the zone, so there's certain things it takes away from the way you play, so that's where we've kind of gone back and forth on it and stayed with probably a little more conservative approach. So I'd say if we could find a way to balance that on the breakouts, you know, send people a little more, be a little cleaner there.
More like Calgary almost.
They send their D a lot, okay, so they're a team that's willing to take a trade a little bit like Tampa, you know, because they figure they can outscore you. And I don't know if we want to go there yet. I just feel we're a good defensive team. We don't want to, you know, all of a sudden open up there's some games we have to get behind and play that style and win. I just don't think it's in our DNA to do it as we're not going to start bringing that culture in here. Now, all of a sudden Charlie gets more confident, Brandon and Grizz, now you look at, I think it's personnel involved too on your back end. So if that's what gets into the lineup every night, then we'll adjust to what we have for sure, but we're not there yet.
If you have Krejci on Thursday, that means probably it's just one body that's new, carrying over from last year, that's Parr or Richie. So how do you think that translates to on-ice performance, the fact that we're bringing back 95%?
Well, you would hope that there's none of the sort of hiccups you go through learning each other's style, and I don't want to say pick up where you left off, because we would like to do that through in a perfect world, but I don't know if it always happens that way. You got to get back in and get going and grow your game. So, but yes, I think it helps. I think it helps, and that's one of the reasons we limited some games for preseason for these guys, because we know that they have some chemistry already. So it doesn't have to be built in for both the decor, for the goaltenders, and for the. So that is an advantage. But again, the two new guys, they played a little more for that reason. We want to see if they mesh with anybody, and so far we've got an idea that what we think we're going to go Thursday. I don't want to get into that right now because I think the Krejci health plays a big part.
I know you,
Two, three more.
okay. You just said, I know in an ideal world you want to pick up where you left off. That's not always the case. This group being very similar to what you had last year, minus one or two new faces. I just wanted to address starting the season on the road. I know you don't really need to build chemistry with this group, but perhaps starting with such a big road trip, does it help getting you into picking up where you left off, because you're obviously staying together for so many days in a row?
Well, I do. I like starting on the road. I think guys, they get away. It's just so focused on hockey. This training camp was short. We did not have our main group together very often. Saturday was kind of the plan, and maybe the Monday game a little heavier lineup, but it didn't work out perfectly that way. Saturday night you play Chicago that has a lot of their younger guys, so I don't know if that's a true test. Well, it's not. I mean, it is what it is, right? But we wanted to get our guys going, not worry about the other team, but it wasn't a true test. So getting away will allow us to get refocused a little easier than being at home. So I've always felt that way, new or not new. Let's get together, get away, get around each other, because this group likes each other too. So
I know you want to look ahead and not back, but when the
but
goal.
we're going to look back. Joe can tell
This
us.
is the last time. Last time.
But when the goal every season is to win the Stanley Cup, I mean, how do you have that goal but also try to guard against looking back?
Well, I mean, it is our goal, and I think it's every team's goal, but how realistic is it? We feel being right there last year is very realistic. We feel that we've probably moved, we'd like to think, at least in our own minds, we've gone from being a contender to more of a favorite. I'd like to think we're up there. I think that's good for the group, and that'll help us move on from last year. This group's pretty good at that. They get dialed in, they play. So I don't see that last year being a big. At some point in the season, maybe as all of a sudden you make the playoffs and you're starting again, then it might creep back in your head. Do we want to go through all this again and get our hearts broken? But that's so far down the road. We'll deal with that if that in fact takes place. So I don't see it being an issue at all last year for us to have that goal again. And I think our guys will have it. I think this group is more the other way. They got a chip on their shoulder and let's get back there. It's just you can't just fast forward 7 months or 8 months to get there. That's the challenge for us. We've got to play every night, play well, play hard, get some breaks, stay healthy, just to have the opportunity. So that's more what we got to worry about.
Fair to assume you won't take AT on the road?
Yes, yes. Zamora, he's been rewarded a little bit. I thought he had a good training camp. We wanted to make sure we got through the weekend, everyone's healthy. It looks like our D is good. So Jacob's here to practice. We'll hopefully learn some good habits, play against high-end players. But, you know, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I don't think he's going on the road if we're healthy. Put it that way.
In that context, with all those kids who went back to the, you must have had some long faces around here in the last.
Donnie and Jamie and Chris Kelly now go through a lot of those discussions. I talked to the players a little bit. And the feedback was mostly positive. There was, you know, there's a few guys that are always a little bit disappointed, but I thought some of them had good answers and self-analyzed well. Thought that they didn't have good enough camps to stick around. So you kind of, you know, if we feel that and the player feels that, then I think that's always easier to move forward. Like Fakanine, he's a little disappointed in his game that he wasn't able to have a better exhibition, but he slowly got better. His last exhibition game, he admitted, he said, I wasn't where I needed to be. So sometimes you like to hear that as opposed to, well, I should be on the team, you know, on a first round, whatever, you know, the story is. So I thought it was, they were pretty honest with their assessments.
Bjork understanding of, you know, getting some games under his belt?
Bjork?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was a little more, he felt that he played as well as, you know, most forwards did here, and walked him through the situation on our team, why every player. It's not just about taking, it's not, you know, the 12 best hockey players, it's who fits where. And so he was good as well, and I was glad that he pushed back a little bit, because he should. He played well for us, and we just feel the best thing for him. And I talked about this before he even started camp, that, you know, he should round out his game, and now that he's got some details into his game that maybe lacked when he got here, now let's get the offense going, feel good about scoring, and consider yourself a guy that can score in the league. Where that slots him in is to be determined, but we don't want to turn him into just a checker. We want to make sure he finds his offensive game, and Providence is going to be easy. It's going to be easier to do it there than here. And hopefully our plan and it works out for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.